I hate the phrase fashion is subjective. Not necessarily because it's not true, but because it is reductive. It is one of those broad general sayings that a lot of people like to recite when their tastes are affronted by criticism. The phrase, anyone can cook, took a whole movie about prodigious sentient rats to even begin justifying itself. And here you are dropping the subjectivity card because someone didn't like your fumbled subversion of formal wear or disapproved of the way you styled your Nike sweatshirt and blue cropped jeans. I don't know what I find more egregious, people using it to validate their own outfits or someone else's. In either case, not only is the discussion at hand not addressed, the conversation is pretty much shut down. And look, I'm sure people have good intentions. They may use it in an attempt to open the minds of others, but I find that instead of enhancing discussion, it tends to behave more like this overarching brush of truth that actually undermines the conversation at hand. Fashion is subjective, but your subjectivity in all likelihood is composed of experiences, media you've consumed, activities you've done, and all the other artistic and social and intellectual encounters that contribute to your person. Unless of course you are in possession of some innate gift, some prophetic vision. Maybe you were born with the genetically ingrained ability to compose outfits that move people to tears, and if you feel that is you should neither pay attention to what I'm saying, nor feel the need to justify yourself with idioms. And you should also recognize that you are the exception, not the norm. A big component of what makes fashion interesting to me is having other people break down why they like or dislike something. In response to my last video where I'm flaming unsuspecting online outfit posters, one person commented that they actually liked one of the outfits that I used as an example of a bad outfit. It reads, "I like the look at 15 seconds though. It kind of looks like they're cosplaying as a satyr or something." I like this comment. This is a great way of loosely justifying why you like or dislike something. By tying your opinion to something that is a component of your experience, you have the potential of reaching or enlightening others. This one in particular resonated with me because I had the exact same image come to mind when I saw it first. The reason why I still don't like the outfit despite the image it evokes is something that is perhaps even more subjective. Basically, it's the fact that the outfit fails to convince me that the satyr image was intentional. The lack of context in the background and the rest of the outfit leaves it up in the air to me. Of course, you could approach this a few different ways. You could death of the author it and say that the poster's intentions are irrelevant and that I should value it purely off of what I see. For example, I like satyrs, ergo, I should like this outfit that reminds me of satyrs. Which isn't unreasonable at all, especially if it lets me enjoy the outfit more. At the same time, if I imagine a carefully crafted outfit designed over a long period of time being compared to an identical outfit that was randomly generated by chance from a computer, I feel it might be too consequentialist to consider them equal. Of course, it is not as simple as just categorizing judgment into consequentialist and deontological, so a lot of this is just my knee-jerk reaction. To that extent, I do prefer it when there is something that hints towards the intentions behind an outfit. I grabbed this piece off of Grailed, but for example, if they had posted this image on their Instagram with satyr as a caption, it might be enough to convert me into liking it. And I think that really does illustrate how fickle subjectivity can be, and how reductive it is to use it as a sweeping general truth when you could delve so deep into every individual element of every outfit. It's probably why my How I Try to Enjoy Outfits video could be 100 times as long, just by going down every path in the decision tree that leads to liking or disliking an outfit. Now, let's imagine I really disagreed with this comment. I could easily, in an act of pettiness, just attack the concept of satyrs. Oh my god, satyrs are so lame. They're like from kids' fantasy books, man. This is all to illustrate that when you invest in defending something you like, you are often putting something at risk of being attacked as well. It is also this fact that gives more credence to a proper defense than falling back on the cop-out phrase of fashion is subjective. A lot of the weight from the sentiment of talk shit post fit also stems from this. While there is definitely value in receiving criticism from someone who is experienced in the relevant area, there's also a lot of value in the fact that you have to respect the part of them that is willing to put themselves out there, regardless of whether or not they actually dress well. If we pull up another comment from my last video, we can demonstrate that there is a safety in only attacking without offering up anything of your own, even when prompted. But for the same reason, their opinion holds a lot less weight than if they had given an example of what they liked. Don't get me wrong, it is completely within his rights to think all my opinions are wrong in favor of his own, but addressing them the way he does makes it hard to have an amicable conversation about it. A point of interest to me is that he responded, "I do. I was softening the blow for you," to me facetiously saying, "It sure sounds like you know," which in itself was a response to him prefacing his initial comment with, "I don't know, man." He demonstrates a certainty in his own opinion that exceeds my own by quite a bit, to be honest. In many ways, his comments come across as if they lacked the underlying awareness of fashion's subjectivity, and were likely made in response to feeling that I was perhaps speaking without the nuance necessary to be agreeable to him. And while he doesn't really explain why he thinks I'm wrong, know that I would still much prefer commenters come barging in self-assuredly telling me that I'm incorrect like he did, rather than some lukewarm, disclaimer-filled appeal to subjectivity. I mean, he could have been a little more polite, but ultimately, I respect the passion. Anyways, I've digressed a bit, so let's get back on track. Imagine if the first commenter had said, I actually like the outfit. Fashion is subjective, so you shouldn't say it's bad. You know, it's an absolutely worthless comment. Take it one step further, imagine some bricklaying, tire-changing man's man being shown like an odd piece off the runway, to which you may balk, and you chide him and you say, "Oh my god, fashion is subjective. Open your mind." There is absolutely no chance that what you said resonated with anyone. You have done nothing to bridge the gap between your spheres of experiences, and it is absurd to me that people will drop that in a comment chain under an outfit and go about the day presumably feeling like they've added anything of value by ways of doing that. I understand and encourage people wanting others to be open to liking what they like and disliking what they dislike, and I'm telling you that using this phrase weakens your own representation. What you'll find in personal writing is that almost counterintuitively, readers tend to relate more with the writing the more specific you get with your anecdotes. Anyone can intellectually understand the logic behind sweeping axioms and truisms such as fashion is subjective, but there won't be any conviction or resonance within that understanding. It's an empty statement that could be technically correct, but contributes very little in almost every context it is in. If I were to spitball like a scenario in which it could be useful, maybe if you were like talking to someone who genuinely believed that their perspective on fashion was the only one or the only correct perspective to have. In that case, they probably have things that to deal with that extend far beyond the scope of fashion, which isn't necessarily a condemnation. A great fashion designer could potentially pull off that egomaniacal self-centeredness if they consistently put out clothes that superseded anything we've ever seen before. Or more broadly speaking, if a person was so dominant in the field that whatever they said was effectively irrefutable. The discussion then tangents off somewhere that can be approximated by the question, does their repertoire justify their arrogance? To that extent, I do resonate a bit with one of the second commenter's replies where he says, to critique others, you better be head and shoulders above all of them. To suggest that I am unqualified, And I would have said that this sentiment would have been one of humility if he hadn't sandwiched it between, like critiques of my outfits. As a result, it remains unclear to me what his disposition towards himself is, but honestly, I can't say I completely disagree with that ideal. And I absolutely agree that there is an implicit arrogance in me sitting here judging outfits. I only bring it up because I think it's worthwhile splitting hairs on his comment, since this entire video is basically me splitting hairs on how a single phrase affects discussion anyways. Incidentally, I did watch Magnus's video titled Fashion is Subjective before this to see if someone else had done this video already and if I was just piling on to hundreds of people who have a vendetta against this phrase. But turns out, I'm the only one I can see. So anyways, Magnus makes a lot of great points, He is, however, using it largely in part to downplay the weight of his own opinions so he doesn't make other people mad, and the video boils down to everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Like, sure, I agree. But I would add that if you have a vested interest in my approval, me in this case being representative of the average individual in whatever community you are posting to, it is your job to convince me that your opinion is worth anything, right? Like, you could do this through the way you style things or through discussion, and all my video here is saying is that if you are trying to do it through discussion, don't fall back on subjectivity as an argument if you can't articulate anything more meaningful beyond that, because the only disservice you are doing is to yourself.